So let's get into our only hot take of the night. And I know I am a fat, average looking man at best. How can I dare talk bad about the supposedly gorgeous
Has been talking
Tommy
about
Robinson? Well, Tommy's been around for a while. Tommy's starting to look her age for, her only qualification being supposedly quote unquote hot. And I've talked about this with Megyn Kelly, talked about this with many conservative influencer women, that most conservative women who have shows or are influencers or whatever the case you want to call them secretly push what I like to call, and everybody else calls, covert feminism. They're just feminists on the right. And you'll hear it once again in this clip from the Getting Close to Pasture, Tomi Lahren. Oh, I know, Rick, you're a misogynist. You know what? Let's throw the misogyny alert out here since I'm going to get the misogyny label. Now that we have correctly identified that I am a misogynist for calling out the fact that Tomi Lahren has done nothing for the conservative movement except made it progressively dumber in her time period that she has existed within it, she's going to once again push the idea of covert feminism, right? This idea that, oh, well, it undermines the part of the conservative movement that is appealing to young men, because the conservative movement right now appeals to young men, especially in the fact that most young men are finding faith. They're going back to Christianity. So it's a perfect place for the feminists to send in their supposedly attractive women and convince men that all the things that you believe in are just silly and stupid. And let me play Tomi Lahren right here.
it's a major problem. And, Speaker Johnson has been talking about those maybe deadbeat folks that are on Medicaid, and maybe some of those folks are the stay-at-home sons. We don't know. But
so the rise of the stay-at-home son is this this segment between Laura Ingraham and Tomi. And of course, Tommy's going to come out here and she's going to bash the stay-at-home son. And so she's going to bash them, but the stay-at-home son is the Gen Z, Gen Alpha, maybe. I don't even know what the gens are anymore. Let me know if I'm on or off on this. Who have been pushed out of the labor market because, as Mark identified earlier when we were talking about AI jobs, most of the entry-level jobs are held by women. There are a lot of jobs that are held by women that price men out. Their men don't have an opportunity for it. So they can't get the entry level jobs, then they can't move up the ladder. They have been pushed out of universities. Most people at universities are either foreigners or women. The only men on campus are the athletes, essentially. So men have been pushed out of the labor force. Men have been pushed out of the education system. The only place that they're even being accepted are trade schools. And that's if they even want to pursue them. And lastly, they have been pushed out of the dating market by women like Tomi, who, by the way, if you know what these things are, Tinder, one of the apps, dating apps, they now put a height filter on for women so they can filter out, all the short kings like myself. I, of course, being the short emperor, this does not please me because my short kings everywhere are being frozen out because some TikTok algorithm by the Chinese convinced all women that they're all tens and they all deserve 6-foot men that make $600,000 a year, which is just now how that works. So they've been pushed out of the labor force. They've been pushed out of the education force, and they've been pushed out of the dating pool. Tomi, your job, Tomi, actually has frozen some probably well-qualified man out, right? What she does man could easily do, if not better. Most of her takes are about most of her takes sound like they come from Chat GPT anyway. And so we have this setup where she's calling them deadbeats and losers, despite the fact that Tommy's been engaged like 4 times. And she's 32 with no kids. Just understand that. She's 32, not married, with no kids. Now, that's fine. That's, life happens. I'm not condemning her because of that set of circumstances. I'm going to condemn her because she, in this position, as a engaged woman of 32 years of age who will probably use IVF to have kids with no kids, she is going to lambast all these men that the reason they stay in their basements or they stay at home is because society has turned its back on them. Society's been turning its back on men for about 10 years, 15 years now. And only now are conservatives. Trump was really the one who looked into middle America and said, you guys need to be helped. It wasn't the GOP. GOP could care less. Anyway, let's listen to sage wisdom from Chat GPT Lahren.
I'll tell you this, leave it to Gen Z to rebrand laziness and social awkwardness as something cutesy, like a stay-at-home son. They did much the same thing with quiet quitting, where you can go to work and do less, and if you call it quiet quitting, it's somehow better.
Tomi Lahren got a job because a producer thirsted after her. If you actually look into her employment history, she was I think she was interning, or she was at an entry-level position. I think it was One American News. And some producer thought, was thirsty after her and gave her a job. She was never qualified for it. So the fact that she's going to now comment on, Gen Z, you're not honey, you're getting too old to try and be like with the hipster fun talk. You're not that girl anymore. You need to be transitioning into different things. You need to move on because you're not the youngin in this space. There are 22, 23-year-old girls that are ready to fill that spot. And so it's funny that she's like, they're so lazy. Considering that you have operated under the pretty privilege your entire life, you have no idea. You have no idea, Tomi, what it takes for a guy to apply to every single job, to be told they're not tall enough, they don't have enough hair, their jawline's not strong enough, whatever the case may be. And just because some producer was thirsty for you, you got all of this, despite the fact that you're not very sage in the ways of political correctness. And now you're getting to be too old to be let's go to the young girl to tell us how that is. There's this girl on Pop Culture Crisis, Mary Morgan. She's going to fill your job. She's like 23. As soon as Fox News and these other places, she's already big on the Daily Wire because she hangs out with Michael Knowles and those guys. As soon as she breaks into this, you're done, Tomi. You're going to be put out to pasture. So you might start correcting your attitude.
But Laura, I got to tell you, this is also a big problem when it comes to, I think, declining birth rates, people not getting married and having children.
Tomi Lahren is not married and has no kids. Now, you can look, Rick, you don't have kids. God's providence. That's why it was. It is what it is in that regard. But Tomi has actually come out and said she's pro-abortion. Remember the reason she got fired from the Blaze? Because she's been around. She started One American News, then she went to the Blaze. She got fired from the Blaze, then she went to Fox. She's made the rounds on all of these places. She's pro-abortion. She's probably pro-IVF too.
That's a big problem. They blame it on women. Well, look at what young women have to choose from. The pickings are slim.
Sweetheart, that's because y'all been brainwashed by TikTok to look for the 6-foot man. You can't be below 6 feet. Was it 6 feet, 6 figures, 6 something? You guys can figure it out. And so hundreds of good men who may be 5'11" or 5'9", who are, you know, truck drivers or in construction or a plumber or any of these other things, because that cannot satiate the TikTok lifestyle and women being social creatures. It's embarrassing to be married to a plumber or an HVAC tech, or if they're not in these flashy jobs that can give them six-figure lifestyles that they apparently deserve. Because the question, and I forgot the guy's name, so forgive me. And just I forget the guy's. He's Andrew something. He was on Louder with Crowder today. What are women obligated to do now? What are they obligated to do when they come to a relationship? Will they have children, or will they go for their career, or what are these things here? And so she's like, the pickings are slim. Well, honey, you've ran through at least 5 of them because of your position. And the fact is, men don't have an opportunity in the workplace. They don't have an opportunity in the education system. They don't have opportunities because women have taken those positions. They have taken those opportunities. And also, dating apps have now given women access to hundreds of men. It used to be the women in the town, or even in the small city, had a pool of men to pick from. And they picked Justin on their, you know, whatever the case may be. Now, either through Instagram or TikTok, they can go on there and get all kinds of affection and admiration. You know, if you're a guy who's dating one of these Instagram girls or whatever, you're competing against 100,000 other men telling your girlfriend that she's beautiful and she's perfect. And you can never have a fight with her, and you can never tell her she's wrong, because she'll dump you and go back on the app, post a thirsty picture, and get 500 guys to tell her she's perfect until she gives out. And so when she starts to blame men, this is all covert feminism. I'm going to shut up for I'm going to shut up for the next couple minutes and let her rail through her covert feminism.
Yes, we might have a feminism problem in America, but it's the feminization of men. There are a lot of young women out there that want to get married. They want to have kids. They want,
like you, Tommy? You with your husband and your many children? Or did you put your career first?
to have stable families, but there are a lot of young men out there who want to live in mama's basement and order DoorDash, and therein lies a big part of the problem.
I mean, that is covert feminism to the max. Covert feminism to the max. These men are just lazy. These men are just, they want to sit in mama's basement and order DoorDash. That's because they got rejected 500 times on Tinder or on Hinge or whatever they are. And now there's a trend where average looking women, yeah, Rick, you're ugly. Cheers. I know. Average looking women are going on social media sites and they're like, why are all the women gorgeous and all the men ugly? Okay, well, honey, enjoy your 20s because your 30s are going to suck. And this is all a product of women like Tomi. And Tommy's on Fox News to push this agenda, to push this message. When you're fine, perfect. It's the men. It's the fact you want to get married and have families. It's men's fault that you keep saying, oh, well, I deserve a 10. I don't deserve the nice guy that's, I don't know, pick a middling. I don't want to pick the nice guy who's an account. He works for State Farm Insurance. I don't want to date the insurance salesman. I want to date the mayor's son or something stupid like that. Right? Oh, this guy's really nice, but he gives me the ick because he wears brown shoes. Like, what are you freaking talking about? Yeah, I know, Mark. We could absolutely do an entire show on this whole thing. Yeah, beware of them, Michael. You're correct on that. So I've spent like 15 minutes talking about this because it burns me. Because men have been absolutely tossed to the side. And then you have women like Tomi coming out there who have been given everything. They've been given everything. And really, social media, YouTube, all of this stuff have been designed to cater to women because you don't have to be very good. Like if I was a female, if, you know, average attractiveness, whatever the case may be, But if I was a female with these same topics and these same talking points, I'd probably have 1,200 to 1,500 people watching me. Just because it promotes females more, to get them, to do these shows, to get this admiration. It appeals to their vanity. So I just saw that today, and of course I had to speak on it. So thank you, Tomi.